Okay, here we go. So this is a writing program that I've developed as part of the self-published program. I don't know if any of you have been to my website, but it's the self-published program. And it's to how to write your book when you don't have time. So isn't this like the problem for everybody? We don't have time because we're working, we have kids, life's just overall crazy chaotic circus. I totally understand this. This is what this program is for, is to help you write your story when you just feel like you don't have another minute to spare. I'm going to teach you how to do it even when life is crazy. But first, before I go into that, my name is Sarah V, and I'm a wife to my high school sweetheart. I'm a mom to two darling little boys who are crazy, rambunctious, a lot to handle. And I'm also an author to these books that you can see here on the screen. And I'm the creator of the self-published program. And I'm also a co-host of the Worth the Read podcast. That's just something fun that I love to do on the side. Nothing related to any of this. It's just where I review like clean romance books with my sister. It's so fun. But I love writing. I love creating stories. I'm so passionate about it. And I wanted to make sure that anybody who was kind of stuck in the situation that I was in, where I was working two jobs, I wanted to write a story. I was working at the time one job and I had the two kids. Sorry, that was not correct. So I had the two kids and I was working a job and I wanted to write a story. I wanted to publish a story, but I didn't know what I was doing. So it took me 2 years to do it. It was a lot of work. There was so many times where I was up at night just on my phone trying to find answers to questions. And I don't even know what questions to ask. It was so incredibly overwhelming. But I'm hoping that this writing program is going to help you, if you're in that similar situation, finally write your book without feeling like you have to have the perfect circumstance to do it. Because honestly, if you're waiting for the right time, it's never, ever going to happen. It's not. So I'm hoping that this program is going to help you be able to do it with the way your life is right now. I'm hoping that the writing program can help you also feel confident knowing that what you're supposed to do, and knowing what you're supposed to do, having a clear map to follow is going to make it feel so much easier. And then also, once you're done with the writing program, you'll be one step closer to becoming an author, which is so exciting. Something that I'm sure a lot of you have thought about for many, many years. So why this process works, so why this writing program works, why it has worked for me and also for a couple of other people that I've helped publish their own books. Um, this is what it feels like. This little image right here, this little guy right here, confused, totally overwhelmed, and this is the whole daunting process of writing book. There's so much that goes into it. It just feels overwhelming because there's, like I said, so many things to do. You've never written a book before and you don't know what process you should take to actually write your book. But what we can do with this writing program is we can cut it up into smaller pieces so that it's bite size and that you can just take a little bit here and there and slowly work towards your goal of becoming an author. That's why this process works. So these are the 5 steps to writing your book. First, you're going to research your genre so that you can create a successful book. Step number 2 is how to plot your story so writing is easy. Step number 3 is how to create a positive writing experience with a hectic schedule. Step 4 is how and why to test your story. And step 5 is how to edit your story and get it ready to publish. So these are all the 5 steps. After trial and error and all the books that I've published, I figured out why you need to do these steps in a certain order so that you're saving yourself time and potentially money if you're wanting to go that route. But this is how this whole process works. I told you why it works, but now how it works is you need to take it one step at a time. I specifically designed this program to be helpful for people who are in my shoes, where I just was so overwhelmed and so busy that you need to take it one step at a time. I do not want you to move on to the next step until you have the first step that you're currently on done, completed. You feel like it's done to the extent that you can possibly do before you move on to the next step. I know sometimes you get excited and you're thinking about what to do next and all the other things. Don't do that. That's only going to overwhelm you and slow you down or potentially stop you in the journey altogether. So one step at a time. You're going to move at your own pace. There's a lot of things you might see on social media where it says, write your book in 30 days or write your book in 90 days. And that's just not realistic for the most of us. And especially if you're writing your book for the first time, it's going to take time. I mean, literally the book I'm writing right now has taken me probably a little over a year because I had to rewrite it and write it. And I'm just learning what I needed to do as an author to get it to figure out my writing voice and all the other little techniques that you need to include in there. So it's just not realistic for you to think that you can get this done in a month. But if you move at your own pace and know that it's going to take a little bit of time or a little bit longer for you to achieve, then you can kind of relax a little bit and stop harping on yourself to get it done as quickly as possible. All right, so step number 3 is enjoy the process. So I want you to enjoy actually writing your book. If you can find a way to get into a good headspace to tell your story, it can be very therapeutic, especially depending on what you're writing. But it can help you really enjoy the process and relax so that you can use that momentum to get through the entire process and achieve your goal of writing a book. All right. So, what you need to do to be successful. So, I'm going to be straight with you. This isn't something that it's not a get quick rich scheme, nothing like that. Like you have to put in a lot of work. It's not going to be easy. And here's 4 things that you need to do so that you can actually be successful. You need to set goals for yourself. You need to have a vision. What is your life going to look like when you become an author or when you finish your book? What are you willing to sacrifice? And we have to shift our mindset. So let's dive into these 4 things to be successful. Number 1 is to set goals. So you can give yourself deadlines. You can give yourself a goal of how many words you want to write per day. You can give yourself a goal of how many chapters you want to write, or give yourself like a marker of when a chapter is going to be done. You can plan a reward for when you accomplish any kind of step that you want to take. My favorite thing to do is to go get ice cream from Cold Stone because that's my favorite ice cream place. And so any kind of reward that's going to motivate you, that's useful and can be helpful to set your own goals and to help you achieve them. All right, so some examples for your deadline, if you wanted to set deadlines for yourself, is you can give yourself a date for when you want your book to be fully researched. You can give yourself a date of when you want your book to be outlined, and you can give yourself a date for when you want your book to be written. If you don't hit those deadlines, it's okay. Understand that life's crazy and it might not happen, but it's good to give you something to work towards, okay? Now, you need to have a vision. You need to picture yourself as an author. You need to picture yourself with a finished book, what that's going to look like, what readers are going to say when they read the story, all of those things. You need to have a very clear vision of what, when this is all over, what that's going to look like to help you stay focused. And you need to keep that vision near you frequently. So you can write it down on paper, or you can create a vision board and put that up in your office or wherever you tend to write most often. Keep that up there near you, so you can look at it many times so that you can just remind yourself of why you're doing this, why, if you come to a hurdle or whatever, that you're doing this so you can get to that point. So why do you want to write a book? How will my personal life change if I do? How will my personal life change if I do? How will my professional life change if I do? What new opportunities will I have? What kind of impact can I make? These are just some guiding questions that you can answer to help you stay focused and to kind of complete that vision of why you want to write a book, why you want to become an author. So sacrifice. And I don't want this to be anything too crazy. I already know most of you are so overwhelmed, but you have to understand that nothing changes if nothing changes. I didn't come up with that. I don't know who said this originally, but the point still stands that if you think about your life in general, you've not written a book up at this point, right? You haven't written anything. So something's going to have to change from this point forward to produce a different outcome. So nothing changes if nothing changes. So think about right now, really quick, in your busy, crazy mind, in your busy, crazy schedule, what is something that you can sacrifice in order to make a little bit more time so that you can write your book? For me, it was watching TV. I would always put the kids to bed and then I would go and watch TV by myself without anybody harping on me, without anybody needing something from me. That was my me time. But then that was kind of my only me time. That was the only time that I had no distractions, no interruptions. And I figured if I really want to write this book, like I can use this time instead of watching TV, I can use that to write my book. And so I sat down every single night and started writing, and I found joy in it. And I find it more fulfilling than watching TV. And so it kind of, in a crazy way, it turned everything around and became even more relaxing and impactful for me to do that instead of watching TV. But think about something that you can sacrifice right now that'll just give you a little bit more time. All right, now we have to talk about our mindset. I always say this, and if you can see behind me, there's a little poster right here I created, and it says, "You are the author of your life story. How will you write your next chapter of life?" We need to get into the mindset that we are in control, we are in charge of what happens and how we react to everything that happens to us in our life. And if we want to achieve something like writing a book and becoming an author, we need to make sure we're taking control, that we're not letting life just happen to us and be like, oh, well, too bad, I don't have the time for this, or oh, darn it, I'm not getting for me, it was like, I don't have a babysitter at this time. Oh, well, I have to be proactive in making the changes and decisions necessary so that I can actually work towards these goals and to achieve this dream that I've had for a really long time. And the same thing needs to happen with you. You need to change your mindset. I'm in control. What can I do in this situation to make it so that I am overcoming this obstacle? All right. So, what you need to do to be successful, we talked about setting goals, we talked about having a vision, we talked about making sacrifices and our mindset. So, these are the things that you need in order to be successful. And you know what? Really, this applies to any kind of thing in life. It's not just becoming an author, it's just anything that you want to achieve in your life. Like, it could even be on a weight loss journey or on a financial journey. It could be anything. This can really apply to that. So, I thought that'd be those are really useful tips and things that we need in order to be successful in this writing journey that we have. So, the things that we need to do with getting the mindset and getting into a good mental place, it's something that we need to do daily, which is like looking at your vision board, reminding yourself that you're in control, that you can make decisions that'll impact your life. This doesn't cost anything unless for maybe paper that you want to use for creating a vision board. If you're interested, I have an author vision board with a book goal planner that has like guiding questions that you can answer that help you get really focused on creating that vision and why you want to become an author. That link is included below. And let's start on the first step. So that was kind of the introductory portion. We're going to move on to the first step. Does anybody have any questions about that portion? You can just write in the chat box. I'm going to click it open right here. Let me know if you have any questions about getting into the right headspace, getting the right motivation, the inspiration that you need. And I know it might sound woo-woo to talk about all those things, but literally it's none of this. All this information is great. But if you don't do all the things that you need to be successful to begin with, the information is going to be useless for you. And I don't want to kind of just lie to you. I don't want you to be like, oh, yay, you got to do these things. It comes with that mindset as well. I want you to actually be successful with this. So I wanted to include that in there because it is super important. And I definitely, in my own journey, had so many hurdles that I had to overcome mentally to be able to get to that place. And I do think that's one of the reasons why it took me 2 years, because there's so many times where I just thought like, oh, why should I write a book? There's so many other people who are smarter than me, better than me, who can do this. But I overcame those, thankfully. I wrote my first book and I'm so grateful I never gave up, because literally this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I love it so much. It's changed the whole course of my life. So I'm glad I never gave up, and I'm glad that you're here, that you want to do the same. And I hope that this can help you.